Bear with me, people. To get into the studio.
So whenever they don't want you, no more calling, him come here to teach you. Alright then, no trouble take your ladder, God, beat the shut it, I go fit you. Hey bro, God, no trouble take your ladder, God, beat the shut it, I go fit you. Alright then, Jamaica love how my calling is working. Is working. Step out in the street morning and evening. I say a little of this and a little of that. Listen him voice to the streets of backs. Enough labor right, them don't love that. A full speed ahead and him not cut that. Temper, Lord God, labor right in a temper. Alright then, fever, Lord God, bro, God catch fever. Oh, we, I'm but about the black tank and get suspension. Can't believe I remove on behalf of the station. This is frustration. Brother come and say buy him tongue. Come and show receipt in a hand. Him say him buy 10 tongue, but when we look for receipt never stamp. No trouble take your ladder, God, but they shut it, I go fit you. Alright then, no trouble take your ladder, God, but they shut it, I go fit you. Whoa, we, the people them say, bro, God, lock off the water. The water. On a top of water shot in our area. Well, this is Jamaica with the land of food and water. The water, tell we all water for shot in a Jamaica. Them two lion teeth, and we catch them at weed. Lock them up, mark, that's where the key. Tired the sufferation, we want to free. Hey, Jamaica, vote PNP. No trouble, take your ladder, God, with the shot it, I go fit you. Alright then. No trouble, take your ladder, God, with the shot that go fit you. Alright then. Can't say we never warn you. Oh, don't we tell you? Hey, Jamaican people. Hey, Jamaican people. No trouble, take your ladder, God, with the shot that go fit you. Alright then.
Stibbidim day. We in Global TV says certain kind of friend we no cape. And some informer friend we lovely. We in Global, bona fake friend and bona tape. We in Global, we not promote them, we not support them. Look at them on the cheek, come here represent for. We in Global TV, check it.
Good evening, and welcome to our West Midlands studio. Please let me know if you can hear me before I proceed. Is the audio coming through clear? Can you all hear me? Are you all hearing me well? Good evening and welcome. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Send go call Ladybug because she asked me to talk about a topic. I'm in a see loud and clear, Tash says. Good evening, everyone. Tell Ladybug to me I go talk about the topic where she asked me in the after comment today to talk about. So wherever Ladybug is, on a send go call her. Good evening, good evening. Good evening to my community of parity and all my family members. Good evening to the people of the West Midlands. Good evening, good evening. Good evening to all my moderators and platform membership holders, viewers, and subscribers. Good evening and welcome. Clip. Sometimes I love listening over anti-sus, you know, because some things were anti-sus we talk about. You don't have the other media people, them really have those level of discussion when we say I'm going over anti-sus. Sunshine, good evening and welcome. Violet Watson, good evening. Violet Dury, Michelle Lewis Wilson, good evening and welcome. Debbie Jervis, good evening. Natalia Freeman, good evening. And Tainted Congo, good evening. Patricia Matthews, Wante Oliver, good evening. Good evening and welcome, real sweet. Good evening, Elaine Turner. Good evening, Lily Foster. Good evening, good evening. Natalia Freeman. Charlotte Reed, good evening. Good evening, all, and welcome. Thank you all for joining us. Shauna Smith, good evening. Tash, good evening. Good evening to everyone. Thank you all for joining us. Lily Foster, good evening. Patricia Williams, good evening. Good evening all. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Campbell put Andre case before the people during the local government election just gone. And I want to remind you of that before we move into Cliff Hughes. Let's remind ourselves of Dr. Campbell putting Andrew Holness's case to the people and the people's verdict.
Are the jury, and I'm going to put the matter before you, and I want you to tell me how you find Andrew Holness. In the matter of Andrew Holness versus the poor people of this country, when it comes on to the demolition of poor people's house, how do you find him? In the matter of Andrew Holness versus the poor people of this country, when him lock me up in a COVID, I only give $10,000 over a year, and I sentence the poor people them to some large fines. How do you find him? In the matter of Andrew Holness versus the people of this country, when he gave 20% to the doctors and the nurse and the teacher, but 250% to the ministers, how do you find him? And finally, in the matter of Andrew Holness versus the people of this country, when it comes on to locking up poor people, picnic on a state of emergency, without bail and without charge, how do you find him?
Makiba McLean, good evening and welcome. Gloria Morris, good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Let us listen to Cliff Hughes' assessment of the Jamaica Labour Party. As much as anti-sus, not much better than the rest of them, but there are some conversations that you will get over this, where you don't get over the other one. JC, Wagwan. There's conversation you will get over anti-sus, whether you're not going to get over them other one. So let's listen to anti-sus. We have about 10 minutes worth of anti-sus to listen to what it really worth listening to, because the Labour Party don't seem to have Cliff in their back pocket anymore. I don't know which part of them may hang on pan, but certainly not in their back pocket.
Elections, who has momentum? That's what's really occupying the political class this morning. The PNP commissioned Don Anderson poll, yes, is generating a lot of discussion, because for the first time in some time, in 2-3 years, a poll whether PNP, JLP, Don Blue Dot is showing one of the two major political parties with a big lead of almost 8 points. 8 points translated into an election that's a big landslide win, which would mean a complete turnaround from the 49-14 we now have in terms of seats in the House of Representatives. And, of course, the political class, including the activists and the two parties, are dissecting the numbers through their own lens, the green lens and the orange lens, to put the best spin on it. But here are the basic numbers. According to the PNP commissioned poll, the party, the question was asked, who would you vote for? Yes, if you had an opportunity to do so in a general election today. And the poll was conducted between April 4 and April 12 among persons over the age of 18. The pollsters interviewed 1,057 people, and they say the poll has a margin of error of plus or minus 3%. And based on the respondents, the PNP would get 36.8% of the support of the respondents. 36.8 say they would vote for the PNP. Round that out to 37%. While the JLP would get 29%. 29%. Yes? Of course, those numbers means that the PNP has a big lead of 8 percentage points. This is not a small lead. It's not within the, well outside of the margin of error. That's a big lead, which we haven't seen in polls for some time in Jamaica. According to the numbers as well, 19% of the respondents say they are undecided. They haven't made up their mind. And 15% say they would not vote. 15%. Now, what seems to be one of the things that is striking for me, the size of the lead. If you follow politics in the country, you would not be surprised that the PNP is ahead based on the local government election results, where they won the popular vote. Yes? And the whole mood of the country. The country is in an anti-government mood. The mood of the country is one of discontent. The mood of people is,
Two important phrases to take from here. Anti-government mood. Discontent. A cliff mount, them a come out and
things not right. Yeah? There are issues with water. So the mood of the country is not one of optimism. It's negative. So I'm not surprised that the PNP is ahead. Yes? You go about the country and you develop, as long as I've been around, some tests. And it's clear people are turned off of the Holness administration.
you hear?
And I've been saying it for quite some time. The administration needs a revamp, a reset. Yes? And it has not done so.
A revamp and a reset cannot be done, Cliff Hughes, with the Holnesses at the helm of the legislature and the executive. A revamp will have to do away with the Holness, Cliff Hughes, and a lot of senior members of the Jamaica Labour Party. A lot of them.
So the poll results are not surprising for me. What is surprising is the extent of the lead. And also, by these numbers, we would have a turnout of about 65% of people voting. 65%? The last election, we had a turnout of 37%. I don't see us having a 65% turnout. I would love to discuss that with Don and his team, because based on these numbers, we would have a turnout of more than 60%, which would be good for the democracy. That would be very good for the democracy, because right now we're on the precipice with turnouts of 37% in the last general and 30% in the local. So that is also indicating something that is moot. Yes? But I think for Mark Golding and the PNP, this is music to their ears. Yes? They're in the political ascendancy. And I don't think you can doubt.
Before I go to the next part, let me take the time to big up some people. Monica Will, Beat and Teach, you just arrived, Wagwan. Abinasa Cody, good evening, Hero Bottom. Marcia Thomas, Monica Will. The Unstoppable One, good evening. First time seeing you on Global TV. Welcome to the family. Good evening and welcome. Veteran Wagwan, big up Wagwan. Liebert Peart, how are you? Long time. Cliff really, Precious Allen, how are you? Cliff really fall out a tune with the labor right them. I don't know if Cliff a look contract. I don't know if Cliff a look some advertising contract next year from the People's National Party. But Cliff Hughes really not sing Andrew Holness's tune anymore. Cliff fall out of favor with the Holness regime. Sanjay Benjamin, how are you? Fitzroy Nugent, good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining. Fall out of favor with him. But let's listen to the second part.
This is music to their ears. Yes? They're in the political ascendancy. And I don't think you can doubt that. February 26 proved that. And for all of you out there who are still casting doubt over what happened on February 26, yeah, you're living in cuckoo land. Yeah, the PNP under Mark Golding is in the political ascendancy. The Jamaica Labour Party and Prime Minister Holness are on the back foot. They are on the ropes. And it was a caller who said to me last night, faithful, that he doesn't believe, he doesn't get the impression that the government is really interested in winning a third term. Was faithful, yes. Said it's as if they're asleep. He doesn't get the impression that they're really serious or motivated to press for a third term. It's as if they're battle weary, complacent, not with it. While the PNP he kept on using the word strategic. The PNP was being strategic. And you can see that. The PNP is much better organized today. Its ability to control the narrative, yeah, is being demonstrated. It's controlling the narrative in the political arena. The government is making several unforced errors. Yes. The government seems to have one spokesman, the Prime Minister. You don't hear the team around the Prime Minister. And in politics, when you have one spokesperson, as in the Prime Minister, yes, he's your chief marketing officer. However, after 8 years at the wicket, yes, the brand begins to wear off. The magic, the shine wears off. And you don't see the other front bench, members of the front bench stepping up. Yeah? While the PNP controls social media. And I live to see that because it was the GLP who controlled social media. Now the PNP dominates social media. Yeah? I woke up Sunday morning early. And by the time I wake up, I was seeing the Don Anderson poll results with the PNP narrative. Yeah? Spinning the numbers on the favorability numbers between Holness and Golding. The PNP are out there. Yeah? Their political engine room is humming while Belmont Road is flat, dead. And that's why a faithful has to ask, has the government conceded the next election?
Can you believe this is coming from Cliff Hughes, though? James, Colleen Scott. Can you really believe that this is Cliff Hughes' inner circle. King Williams, how are you? Cliff fall out of love with the Jamaica Labour Party. Douglas Allen. And the sudden death hastens because the two stubborn lackey that you have at the top of the Jamaica Labour Party, more so the legislature and the executive. They are power crazed, they are power hungry, and at no point they're going to share power with the broader team of the Jamaica Labour Party to save the party. It's the party going down with those two on the right. Based on Cliff's assessment, I don't know why Cliff, Marcia Esty, how are you? I don't know why Cliff doesn't want to come out publicly. Ladybug, me glad you come because I'm going to deal with that topic where you asked about in the after comment today. Maybe I dilly-dally tape, me see you. But if you listen to Cliff's assessment, Labour Party mash up, you know. But why Cliff don't blatantly tell Andrew, if you do not go, you are destroying the Jamaica Labour Party for good. Here Cliff said when I'm called, I said the government don't look like they're willing to win, that they want to win another election. Cliff is of the view that Andrew Holness has conceded to Mark Golding even before going to the polls. Labour knows that they cannot achieve any of the promises where they make on the election campaign because them not meet any of the last 8-9 years. So they know that they will not be able to deliver on any of the promises that they made in the local government election. Labour knows them stuff. Yvonne Riley. They can be repaired to a degree though, but you have to get rid of the wholenesses. Somebody in the Jamaica Labour Party needs to take over the reins of the party to prepare for the onslaught at the next general election. If Andrew Holness goes to the next general election, a lot of you Jamaica Labour Party members, political futures will be signed to the dustbin. If you take Andrew Holness, if you allow Andrew Holness to lead you in the next general election, Jamaica Labour Party, a lot of you young prospective political leaders and political high flyers. Christopher, how are you? Your political future will be resigned to the dustbin of history, JC, if you allow Andrew Holness to lead you into the next general election. The Holnesses has damaged the credibility of the Labour Party as it stands. There won't be any way of repairing the Jamaica Labour Party with Andrew Holness at the helm, with the Holnesses at the helm. It is just not possible. The damage done, arguably, is irreparable. So for you all to have any little life, Cliff a hypocrite, Monica Wills, but At the end of the day, some assessment where you will get over cliff. You now get it on the rest of mainstream media them to do with the result, the momentum, and all sort. Them follow the straight jacket. What the labor right them follow? Rosalie Ricketts. But our country is on the verge of changing the type of government that we use. We are aware that we are a constitutional monarchy. There are many, many systems of government, whole heap of them. Dictatorship, authoritarianism, autocracy, capitalism, confederation, political power, theocracy, kleptocracy, electocracy, parliamentary republic, feudalism, communism, autocracy, republic. But we're going to tonight deal with republic as opposed to the monarchical structure of governance, which our current system is monarchy, but constitutional monarchy, whereas the British system is parliamentary monarchy because they don't have a written constitution. So they're a parliamentary monarchy, whereas we are a constitutional monarchy. The French and the Americans, they operate on the republic system as well, Nigeria and other countries. But the best way to explain the republic system is how it's used and understood in the American governance structure. In any, whether it's be monarchy or republic, you're still going to have that woeful tongue-twisting thing that you continue to hear, separation of powers. But separation of powers is problematic in the monarchical structure, whereas it is more plain and straightforward in the republic structure. In the monarchy structure, because of how separation of power intertwines, you have more, what you don't call the word, it is more susceptible to corruption. It's easy to corruption flow within the constitutional or parliamentary monarchy system, whereas the separation of power in the republican system kind of hold that at bay. The important thing to note here, though, Millicent Jones, any of these systems you're using is as good as the head of your leader. Let's look at Donald Trump's tenure in the White House. The republic system, the system of America, came to a slippery slope under Donald Trump's tenure because Donald Trump is one that doesn't respect the norm and would rip up things to get it how he wants it. So no matter how perfect a system is designed, there's a way to turn it upside down or go around it. But there are entrenched systems that protects that governance structure, such as the impeachment, such as the courts, and all of that. But currently, what we have, let me just explain the structure we have at the moment that our country is run on. Our country is run on the parliament, the constitutional monarchy structure. So the separation of power in that structure is very intertwined. Whereas you have the legislature, which is one arm of the constitution, is the entire body of parliament. Then you have the executive, which is the government and its cabinet and agencies, which are also members of the legislature. So you already have that tie up there in what you call the separation of power, where the legislature and the cabinet is intertwined in one. Then you have the third arm, which is the judiciary, which operates with a bit more independency as opposed to how the executive and the legislature operate, because both are intertwined together. So with the legislature and the executive, corruption tends to swelter within the system because the power of those two is not separated. The government, which is the head of the executive, controls the legislative agenda. And especially a government as this that also controls the voting power in parliament, and a government that doesn't respect rule of law, then you also have Bitan teacher soon answer you. Then you also have that system also under Andrew Holness became a slippery slope. But what we noticed, the courts stand in guard to always push back and protect. The people also are a part of protecting their structure, system of governance. That is what we have now. What they're proposing that we move to is the republic system. The republic system is used in many different ways, but as I said, the best way of explaining it is the way it's used in the American system. Separation of power is more observed within the American system because there you have the legislature, which is Congress, both houses of Congress, Senate and representative. Then you have the executive, which is the president and its cabinet, which is separate of Congress, which you don't have in the monarchical structure. So there you have those two bodies separately, not intertwining with each other. So the corruption within that system is more limited. The nepotism in that system is more limited. Then you have the third arm, which is the judiciary. Okay, how do these three arms tie, control, and balance each other's power? It is the president that make the appointment of a judge to the courts. Then it is Congress that vets that judge and make sure that judge passes the vetting process before taking up that seat on the judicial bench. Once that judge gets on the judicial bench, that judge in turn bind Congress and not bind Congress, check and balance the power of Congress as well as the executive, because the court can strike down an executive order as well as it can strike down a legislation from Parliament in its bid to guard the Constitution. You also have the legislature and the executive having a check and balance over each other. The president can refuse to sign a bill sent by Congress. Congress can refuse to to bring into law what the executive desires. So all of them have their check and balance in the power structure. As I said, your system is as good as your leader's head, because no matter how good the system is, you will have rogue leader like Andrew Holness and Donald Trump that will always push the system. But the court is a very strong protective system in the system of governance, and therefore it protects the people, the Constitution, and the system. These two systems as well also intertwined with the other governance structure, such as democracy, where we are told that we the people have the power, our power is shared with us. So you still have that democracy intertwining whether into the republic system or the monarchy system. What you also have intertwined other governance structure that you have intertwined into this system is capitalism, because their economic system is based on the capitalistic structure. So none of these countries really use one of these systems. They take from different bits of different. The monarchy would use a bit of the democratic system. They also, in the elitist structure of especially Britain, you have what is called the elitist or the aristocrat system. So it's a mixture of a lot of these different systems, and it's the same thing with China as well. China use a bit of the Marxists, a bit of the Leninists, a bit of the communists, and a bit of the capitalism as well, and blend a system together. So none of them really use one of these systems as a system of governance. Even if it's a republic, they still intertwine with the democracy principle of governance, as well as with the capital structure of governance as well. I hope I'm not confusing the audience, nor am I confusing Ladybug. But as for Jamaica going the republic route, I would prefer Jamaica to go that route. But what we have to be careful of, is who changes our constitution and our understanding of the changes in our constitution and the structure. If we're going to have a republic and we're going to have the still tied together executive and legislature, because Barbados has gone republic, but Barbados executive and legislature is still hugely intertwined. I don't want Jamaica to go that route. What I want Jamaica to have is the similar system to what we have in the US. If we have that type of governance structure, we will limit corruption more. The vast part of our corruption in our system of governance goes on in the between the legislature and the executive. So if we're going the republic system, then one of the things I would really want to see is that the powers are really separated, especially the executive and the legislature. That will probably help us to get a hold of corruption when these two powerful bodies aren't one of the same. Marie Messenger in a circle, Pamela Akola, how are you all doing? Douglas Allen, good evening all, and welcome. Thank you for joining us, Jalove Entertainment. Good evening, everyone. I hope I did not confuse you all. So what the PM want is a monopoly system. If Andrew Holness have it his way, I think we would be more I think it would be more kleptocracy. Kleptocracy is where government achieve or come to power through stealing and corruption. If Andrew were to have it his way, that probably would be one of the structure he would use, or maybe a one-party state, a singular party state, a system of governance where the structure is just one political party. So you don't have no choice. You just have to take special. Good evening and welcome. Marine Vassal, good evening. You just have to go with where the wholeness is them sent. But there are many structures that would suit Andrew Holness, really. There's many structures that would suit him. Whether it be the kleptocracy or the one-party state. But we cannot continue though to make these people whole. Do you know at this point that the country is held to ransom? The country is not moving, you know. Ever since the 26th of February, the country has been at a standstill. One tumble down after another. I think the EOJ should be independent and out of the PM's office, the general election. I think that, Kate M., how are you? I think that is a fight that Mark Golden probably is maybe have in the court already or will be taken to the court, because it's something that Mark Golden wholly opposed. And given his press conference after that ruling, it signaled that they have other cases pending in the court. Sorry. It also signaled that the Speaker Clark issue may be one that they also take to the court as well. So Mark Golden, in the way a lot of us observe him, may be slow, but you have to give this to him. He's very methodic in the way he is moving on, doing things. He is doing things by the book, and you really can't, if you're fighting against corruption and somebody is doing things by the book, then you have to have patience and give them time, because doing things by the book is not always a quick fix, especially Winston Daly in a swelter of corruption overlaid in bureaucracy that we have in our country. So the momentum is with the People's National Party. Them act like them no see it. The issue of Juliet Holness is really taking the Jamaica Labour Party into a deep dive. The issue is they are not able to see what is happening over there. Or as Cliff Hughes said, them concede before going to the next general election. Them really don't want to win. Ladybug, are you talking about the republic system? If that's what you're talking about, I would want us to go republic, but not under this government. I don't trust this government to change our system of governance, if that is what you're alluding to, given their disrespect for the rule of law and the Constitution. It wouldn't, they wouldn't be one that I would favor changing our system. But my advice would be to the people is vote this memorandum when this referendum is ready, is to vote this referendum down. Because you cannot trust a government that doesn't have respect for your constitution. You cannot trust that government to change your system of governance. It would be madness. John Pugh, how are you? We have to wait until we get rid of Andrew. Then we can move forward with changing our governance structure, and not the Barbados governance structure where we just keep the governor general as the president. We want a system where our president is elected. We don't want to pay another a bourgeoisie to just sit down there, walk around, shake hand and cut ribbon. That's not what it's about. We want an elected president, a president with an international portfolio. And if we want to have a prime minister, then that's fine to run the national affairs, and our president deal with our international affairs. Nugget Blake. That's the type of presidency I would want. But the hybrid presidency that Marlene Malahou fought is talking about that she's unable to explain. I don't know where Marlene Malahou fought to talk about. And in modern day, we don't want to pay people just because them have a title, Althea Johnson. We want to pay them because they're doing a job. So my advice to the people, when this referendum is ready, vote it down. Vote it down, because it is not within your interests. You cannot allow a government that show blatant disregard for your constitutional right, for your democratic rights, to go ahead and change your structure of governance. This is not the time nor the leader to do it. It is something that is needed to be done. But this is not the government to do it. This government has shown blatant disregard for all the system of governance. This government don't even like to hear the word good governance. When you don't say how when they hear the word good governance, how them get up and run out of parliament. Let's listen to Cliff one more time. Because sometimes I can't believe say, out of Cliff mouth, them something come out of.
Polls, politics, elections, who has momentum? That's what's really occupying the political class this morning. The PNP commissioned Don Anderson poll, yes, is generating a lot of discussion because for the first time in some time, in 2-3 years, a poll whether PNP, JLP, Don Blue Dot is showing one of the two major political parties with a big lead of almost 8 points. 8 points translated into an election that's a big landslide win, which would mean a complete turnaround from the 49-14 we now have in terms of seats in the House of Representatives. And, of course, the political class, including the activists and the two parties, are dissecting the numbers through their own lens, the green lens and the orange lens, to put the best spin on it. But here are the basic numbers. According to the PNP commissioned poll, the question was asked, who would you vote for? Yes, if you had an opportunity to do so in a general election today. And the poll was conducted between April 4 and April 12 among persons over the age of 18. The pollsters interviewed 1,057 people, and they say the poll has a margin of error of plus or minus 3%. And based on the respondents, the PNP would get 36.8% of the support of the respondents. 36.8 say they would vote for the PNP. Round that out to 37%. While the JLP would get 29%. 29%. Yes? Of course, those numbers means that the PNP has a big lead of 8 percentage points. This is not a small lead. It's not within the well outside of the margin of error. That's a big lead, which we haven't seen in polls for some time in Jamaica. According to the numbers as well, 19% of the respondents say they are undecided. They haven't made up their mind. And 15% say they would not vote. 15%. Now, what seems to be one of the things that is striking for me, the size of the lead. If you follow politics in the country, you would not be surprised that the PNP is ahead based on the local government election results, where they won the popular vote. Yes? And the whole mood of the country. The country is in an anti-government mood. The mood of the country is one of discontent. The mood of people is, things not right. Yeah? There are issues with water. So the mood of the country is not one of optimism. It's negative. So I'm not surprised that the PNP is ahead. Yes? You go about the country and you develop, as long as I've been around, some tests. And it's clear people are turned off of the Holness administration. And I've been saying it for quite some time. The administration needs a revamp, a reset. Yes? And it has not done so. So the poll results are not surprising for me. What is surprising is the extent of the lead. And also, by these numbers, we would have a turnout of about 65% of people voting. 65%? The last election, we had a turnout of 37%. I don't see us having a 65% turnout. I would love to discuss that with Don and his team, because based on these numbers, we would have a turnout of more than 60%, which would be good for the democracy. That would be very good for the democracy, because right now we're on the precipice with turnouts of 37% in the last general and 30% in the local. So that is also indicating something that is moot. Yes? But I think for Mark Golding and the PNP, this is music to their ears. Golding and the PNP, this is music to their ears. Yes? They're in the political ascendancy. And I don't think you can doubt that. February 26 proved that. And for all of you out there who are still casting doubt over what happened on February 26, yeah, you're living in cuckoo land. Yeah? The PNP under Mark Golding is in the political ascendancy. The Jamaica Labour Party and Prime Minister Holness are on the back foot. They are on the ropes. And it was a caller who said to me last night, faithful, that he doesn't get the impression that the government is really interested in winning a third term. Was it faithful? Yes. Said it's as if they're asleep. He doesn't get the impression that they're really serious or motivated to press for a third term. It's as if they're battle weary, complacent, not with it. While the PNP, he kept on using the word strategic. The PNP was being strategic. And you can see that. The PNP is much better organized today. Its ability to control the narrative, yeah, is being demonstrated. It's controlling the narrative in the political arena. The government is making several unforced errors. Yes? The government seems to have one spokesman, the Prime Minister. You don't hear the team around the Prime Minister. And in politics, when you have one spokesperson, as in the Prime Minister, yes, he's your chief marketing officer. However, after 8 years at the wicket, yes, the brand begins to wear off. The magic, the shine wears off. And you don't see the other front bench, members of the front bench stepping up. Yeah? While the PNP controls social media. And I live to see that because it was the GLP who controlled social media. Now the PNP dominates social media. Yeah? I woke up Sunday morning early. And by the time I wake up, I was seeing the Don Anderson poll results with the PNP narrative. Yeah? Spinning the numbers on the favorability numbers between Holness and Golding. The PNP are out there. Yeah? Their political engine room is humming while Belmont Road is flat, dead. And that's why a faithful has to ask, has the government conceded the next election?
What Cliff Hughes is really saying to the Jamaica Labour Party, it is now time to get rid of Andrew Holness. If you don't get rid of Andrew Holness now, it is a slow death. It will be an onslaught by the People's National Party. Kate M., Yvonne Green, Keith Salmon, Tony Tall, Rosemary Samuels, Real Black Woman, Pamela Okola, Althea Johnson of the Blade, Rachel Ricketts, Patricia Williams. Good evening, all, and welcome. Thank you all for joining us. What Cliff is also signaling is there are massive discontent within the Jamaica Labour Party. When you hear him say the party have only one spokesman, he's basically saying the whole of them left it on Andrew one. Are you one mash up the party? Are you one they go fix it back? But fix what though? Whether they suffer fix? The closest you can go to fixing in the Jamaica Labour Party is get rid of Andrew Holness, Juliet Holness, Harris Strong, Nigel Clark, Faval, Tufton, all of the big grand old thief them. That's why we're now going to do everything to make sure the illicit six don't come out before general election, because my God, Ivan Bradford, if the illicit six with all the way hit on you from all different quarters and angles, Chuck as well must go. And the Attorney General were in a shadow where we don't know who he be, where he do, or where he come from. The Attorney General but a shadow needs to go as well, because we don't know who he be, where he come from, where he there, or when he get there. But for the Jamaica Labour Party to revive, they need to make massive changes at the top of the party. Andrew Holness needs to go, a new blood. And very few people did it to come forward. Because all of the big teeth them at top, none of them not qualified. You know, if we can wash off the come out of a flight green, we did also say Currency and Morrison. Somebody did say Miss Lee were first in there again. Who else would it so we can't find? Because if not now, there is still going to have to be that replacement come next October onwards, after Andrew has been mulled over by the political pit bull that Mark Golden is emerging into. If not changing the lead of the Jamaica Labour Party now, then the changes is going to happen come next October. Andrew go shame so till he nago can stay off, he's gonna have to resign. But what's the point though for the Jamaica Labour Party of waiting to go into the wilderness? Montague must go to. Of going into the wilderness and then repair themselves. If you look at the history of the Jamaica Labour Party, of when they got into the wilderness under Edward Seaga, they really stayed into the wilderness for quite some long time. Took them a while to find them way out of the cane field. Jeanette Riley. So this would be the best time for the Jamaica Labour Party to stick the knife in Andrew Holness. Have a year or so to normalize somebody else to go up against Mark Golden. Even though they will still be battered, whoever of the Jamaica Labour Party you put up against. Not tough tongue. No. Not tough than Tony at all. The only one on the man side more than work with is Floyd Green. Him have less dirt on him. Because you know say all of them are pig. Wrestling with them, and them wanna go have the joy because a pig and mud we wrestle with. But Floyd Green as it stand over there would have little less mud pan him than the rest of pig them. In the female sector we spot Carencia Morrison and is it Crystal Lee? Somebody did say. Other than that, somebody did say the speaker, the deputy speaker, when name Heroy. I beat and he said say Heroy. Who else? Nobody else not really over there. But there's going to have to be a replacement anyway. But taking up one of the pig with a big old thick scruffy mud them pan them is not ideal. We have to look for a pig we can wash off. You understand? We have to look for a pig we can hose down. One of the pig have to take over. So all we have to do is to make sure we find a pig we can hose down. And my advice to the Jamaica Labour Party. My advice to the Jamaica Labour Party is to do it before the general election. Andrew Holness stand no chance at the general election. The local government election sends that signal. Everything that happens after the local government election tells us that Andrew is a sitting duck come next general election. He will be mullered over by Mark Golden. So take my foolish advice, Jamaica Labour Party. Change course now. Don't wait to walk out of the ring, to be stretched out of the ring. Recoup while you can. Strategize while you can. Otherwise, it will be a bloody nose come next general election. Bros, good evening. Pamela Akola. I want to thank you all. I feel tired. I want to go sleep now. But join me back tomorrow morning where we have your at a glance program ready and waiting for you, coming from the West Midlands. We'll be out of London for a few days. Crystal Lee. Yeah, that's a Crystal Lee. But other than that, nobody much. No over there. Nobody must know over the Labour Party if you really thingy there. But anyway, my people, Lilith Foster, how are you? Thank you all. But Edmund Bartlett, the thief. No, sir. The thief in Edmund Bartlett will walk and mash up poor people picking it. Ralph. The poor people picking it and make money on the hand. Wicked thief in Edmund Bartlett. No, sir. No, Lilith Foster. Wicked thief in Edmund Bartlett. Edmund Bartlett, where him and Matthew Samuda sit down on the roadside and turn off and divert with water. They go make hotel. And we don't have water for drink. Wicked thief in Edmund Bartlett. No, sir. Him a one of the hog with the big thick mud them pan him. Him a one of the hog with the big old scruffy mud. So, anyway, I'm going to get some lay down now. I will see you all tomorrow. I'm going to go just there at chill. I'm not just so I can bring on and show them tomorrow. Winston Daly, how are you? Mr. Lee can't even represent back himself. Oh, she's going to leave the party. No, so what a bang around. But other than Friday and currency, I mean, I really see anything else over there to wash off. Certainly nothing at the top brass isn't favorable. The ones that will be the big contender, the Darrell Vaz, the Chris Tufton, the Juliet Holness, the Favor will, none of them top brass people there. None of them not favorable. So me don't know what go on over there. So. But then again, you know, say it go by the delegate system and who have money to buy out the delegate them. Just like the whole, you know, the Anjo and Ardley Shaw galanging, you understand? So let's see. It's the same thing while Lisa now walk with paint on his sleeve because then see a delegate show Lisa under the bus and give to Mark Golden. While a lot of people still walk with paint on their sleeve, but never mind. Anyway, my people, we will see you tomorrow. Thank you all very much for your company. Meet me back here tomorrow.